Welcome to the Phronesis Partners podcast, Navigate with Confidence. In each episode, we sit down with our clients and other thought leaders to discuss how they and their own customers use insights and data to illuminate, validate, and navigate their paths to growth and competitive success. We welcome you to join us as we uncover and explore the unknown so that business leaders like you can navigate your own opportunities and challenges with speed, accuracy, and confidence. Today, we're exploring one of the biggest shifts in digital advertising, contextual advertising, and why it's becoming the go-to strategy in a privacy-first world. Joining me is Jordi Capdevila, VP of Marketing at Seedtag. Seedtag is a company that's been at the forefront of contextual advertising, helping brands effectively reach their target audiences in an increasingly privacy-regulated environment. We'll also dive into how Seedtag recently leveraged market research to refine their market strategy, better understand their competitive positioning, and shape their future growth. So Jordi, welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Elaine. Happy to be here.
So, let's start with the big picture, Jordi. Contextual advertising has been getting a lot of attention lately, especially with the decline of third-party cookies and growing privacy regulations. For our listeners who may not be familiar, can you explain what contextual advertising is and why it's so important in today's digital landscape?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I always like to explain contextual advertising as the initial form of sort of advertising. If we go back to the 50s or the 60s with like TV, newspapers, like even before that, right? You, as an advertiser, wanted to like get attached to like a few values, categories, and that sort of segmentation was more like you want to be in a fashion newspaper or like in a segmented kind of like TV show. That just like over the past few years with the digital advertising, like the fastest growing channel, just became more and more complex, more and more nuanced, more and more powerful at the end of the day. So contextual advertising at the end of the day is just being able to attach your advertising campaigns into the most relevant and valuable categories that could be the text, images, and content at the end of the day that your audience, your readers, your customers are willing to engage with. And if you can do that at scale through the digital ecosystem, that's the ultimately the most powerful advertising, because your customers will associate you with the right values that you want to communicate and engage with your consumers in a day-to-day basis. So that's how I define contextual advertising.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's taking us back to our roots in advertising, where we would look at the characteristics of the audiences in the platforms that we're advertising in. So why do you think the industry is moving back in a way?
So basically, I feel like I always blame marketers, I'd say, on how can we like get more effective and like be a little bit tricky with the users that we how we can get better KPIs, going after our consumers. And I guess that happens like with any new technology channel or whatnot. Marketers just jump into it and can like make the most out of it until it kind of burns at some point. So I feel like over the past 15 years, social networks has been like exploding, walled gardens, and the masters of data that they collect and how you can get very granular on that segmentation based on users actual behavior or like choices and whatnot. However, we have seen that once you do those practices, users respond in several ways, and even governments and regulations. So users opt out of being tracked and being prosecuted, so to speak, in the landscape of the digital realm, and regulators as well. Our governments have like the aim and responsibility to protect our consumers' interests, right? And in that way, those two forces are forcing advertisers and ad tech providers and the companies itself to be self-aware of how you track users and how you target those users, and just be conscious about it. And I feel like, going back to basics again, being more ethical on the campaigns that we deliver ultimately gives you an edge, and you get the respect from your consumers when they see, actual engaging advertising that resonates with them and it's appealing, instead of, just having ads that after, buying something, or you get spoiled because you're there's some funny, example that your wife can get spoiled on what's your next present, just, randomly surfing the internet. So and the present gets spoiled, ahead of time. And so, yeah, all of those movements, I think are welcoming a comeback from contextual advertising.
Well, that's great. That reminds me of a story I heard many years ago about the father who was on the internet and started receiving all these ads for I think it was baby products, and that's how he found out his daughter was pregnant. So
Precisely, exactly. There's
it
so
can
many of
certainly
these.
get you in a lot of trouble.
Yep, they're really funny, and ultimately just like exemplifies what happens ongoingly, right? And how, users are disturbed, yeah, at its maximum, and just like there's many ways of like doing things better that they feel like they are coming back. And at the end of the day, it's great. It's for the greatest of the users and the advertisers themselves, both.
Yeah, and even ethics and customer preferences aside, like you said, increasing regulation and privacy firewalls, the things that Apple's implementing, I think are just making it impossible anyway. So,
Yep.
well, it certainly makes sense, and Seedtag I know has been a leader in this space, helping brands make the transition to contextual advertising. Can you give us a quick overview of Seedtag's mission and what makes your approach?
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, we're here, have been here for 10 years, being the contextual partners of choice of brands, advertisers, and publishers. So we're trying to, tie all together in the ecosystem. So, our partners, publishers get, a boost in their revenues due to like this high-end, um, well-targeted, ethical, non-intrusive advertising. And that's one of the values that I joined, Seedtag for, is just like how well things we do in favor of our partners, but also for our advertisers, right? And ultimately, what we're doing is just through technology, because we're a tech company, ad tech, but the background on technology, on AI, the number of investment that we put into our R&D teams, product engineers, data scientists. What we're trying to do is excel at how we analyze the data from our network and how we can tailor our targeting for each and single briefing that we received. So basically, it's beyond the traditional contextual targeting on IAB categories or whatnot, but every single briefing that we receive, it goes through our LIS AI contextual intelligence platform that basically tailors the targeting at a single page level, clustering all those URLs that are embedded directly to that briefing in particular, and we make sure that one, obviously, it's brand safe, brand suitable, but beyond that, it achieves and it's connected to the values of that campaign that the advertiser or the agency is providing. So and then we, depending on the reach that they want to have, we can scale and broaden the reach a little bit, but we ultimately have like great affinity from the briefing and the campaign and the creatives into the actual targeting. We complement that obviously with our creative technology, with our design studio and team that we have in-house to adapt and also connect the data to the actual creatives. We can navigate through all the creatives that we receive from the agency and the brand, but also like use Gen AI, for example, to transform those creatives into like creatives that resonate even further with the content itself and adapt to the content of those pages that we have. And going beyond that, we believe that contextual is not just like the open web, but also CTV. So we expanded and being omni-channel, and we put like different sort of layers into our technology. One being more in the branding side, CTV, but also we're expanding down the funnel into mid-funnel KPIs, analyzing not just the content, but also the intentionality that we have behind every single article and content that we analyze.
So how big is this database of publishers that you have access to?
So we currently have like more than 12,000 directly, but we also have like different partnerships with different SSPs that we're connected with. So yeah, all in all, it's like we're present in more than 15 markets. We're currently more than 600 people, 650 at Seedtag. We have been growing exponentially. We can confidently say that we're the leaders in Europe and LATAM. We expanded in the US 2 years and a half ago, and we're gaining lots of momentum there as well. I think that we have a team of over 100 people already in the US. So far it has been like quite a ride, to be honest. But at the end of the day, it's just like the great acceptance and welcoming that we have from agencies globally, how we scale from our customer base, and just being happy and keep coming to us for those insights and that data and that tailored service that we give them and results ultimately, because all of this translates into business outcomes, so it doesn't translate into like renewals, so to speak.
So when you say you're in 15 markets, would those be in what regions? Would that be Europe and North America, or are you in Asia as well?
It's mainly Europe, LATAM, and North America, although we do have an office in Dubai, and we do have an office in Sydney, Australia, through an acquisition that we did last year with JustText. So we're getting our foot into the Asian market. Obviously, it's like a complex market that we need to like assess and navigate as well, which are the next regions, but we're open to new markets through both organically or inorganically expansion that we might consider to do in the future.
So who would be your typical customers in those markets? What industries do you find benefit most from this type of advertising?
Yeah, so we started more in like the branding side of business, but as mentioned, we're going down the funnel into those mid funnel KPIs. So in terms of ideal customer profile is the agencies, the big six and the indies that we have globally, and how we help them and their customers achieve their goals. And that's also transcending into like brand directs that we have annual deals with, and they come to us for like wider campaigns like the Olympic last year. So that could be Nike likes, Coca-Cola's, Adidas, Diageo, or whatnot, automotive brands and so on and so forth. And yeah, in terms of industry, actually, it's like automotive, retail, FMCG. So you can think of like the Fortune 500 kind of like customers, brand directs that go through their agencies. They come to us in their campaigns and needs to achieve their business outcomes.
So is it predominantly B2C then, or do you
we
also
do have some B2B?
Yeah.
B2B and I'm particularly I'm the VP of marketing at Seedtag, and I'm B2B. My background all my life, and it's I can talk about this for like hours probably, but it's funny how B2B markets is also transcending and going a little bit more in the routes of B2C, just to like get more creative, get those campaigns and branding campaigns, and live a little bit on like the performance or the demand generation side of things. So we're getting more and more traction, and we see B2B tech companies also like tapping into our capabilities to achieve their goals.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense because it's been proven that B2B buyers are becoming more and more like B2C buyers every day. So
at the end of the day, relationships, even in your B2B, it's like human
that's
to
right.
human, and that's why through Seedtag, we enable from a marketing perspective lots of those relationships to happen and to flourish in order to like get educated and information about like how you can achieve your goals, whether you're our buyer from a B2C or a B2B company, brand direct or agency, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And so let's talk a bit about the role of market research. You recently worked with Phronesis Partners to gain deeper insights into your markets. What specific questions were you looking to answer when you decided to invest in this research?
Yeah, basically we surveyed a panel in Europe to see the nuances basically from market to market, because obviously Europe is a complex market, so to speak. We're in our headquarters, and I'm personally from Barcelona, but our headquarters are in Madrid. We're a Spanish company that expanded like internationally, and we know really well how hard it is to scale in Europe compared to like other regions, like the US. Have like a mass total addressable market much bigger that you can, tap into sooner rather than later. In Europe, just more nuances from cultural perspective, from country to country. So after 10 years being there, it's like, what are the actual differences? And because in terms of size, revenue, and whatnot, we there's difference that we know, but we don't make them as tangible. And it's really difficult because you can send an NPS survey as your customers, but it's really different what the customers tell you when you're in the room than when you're not. And as I always say, brand and reputation is actually how people talk about you when you're not in that room. Yeah. And that's why we partner with Phronesis. We look at different vendors and who can assess this better for us. So we selected our top 6 markets in Europe. We surveyed our buyers. So it was prominently agency, brand managers, and from the manager level to the C level, to see what are the differences and how they perceive us from an awareness to the full brand funnel, and to see basically differences from market to market, to see what are their perceptions, how they see us compete with some of the players in our industry, and also which are the main attributes that they see in our space, in our category, and also how are we associated with those attributes? How do we compare with the median and the average of those attributes that they see important for our category, and how they perceive us against them? And that was eye-opening in a way that we can compare market to market on how difficult it is actually to go to market and sell in those markets. What are the efforts, and how can we customize or tailor those narratives in each market? Because we're probably some markets were not associated with the actual attributes that we want, compared to those markets that we are actually associated with those attributes. So it's how can we do well in these markets and not so well in the others, right? And that ultimately is tailoring how we plan ahead the full year. And it was good at the end to do this. We were at a size, because basically when you come to a smaller company, affording these surveys or this research is not tangible in a way on your own planning and your own budgeting. But I think it's really important, no matter on how small you are, if you can obviously, and how big, to do a by yearly assessment on how you're perceived from the market itself, in order to steer your marketing strategy and planning. And that's what we did, and we aim to do this probably yearly, to see how the implementations that we're doing right now are taking effect in the market itself.
Oh, that's very interesting. So will you use the results to also inform product development, or is this strictly about your go-to-market strategy and marketing messaging?
It was strictly in GTM and go-to-market and marketing strategy. We didn't get that further. It was the initial research that we ever performed in Europe. We did have some information in the US from the beginning, that we wanted to have the snapshot for the country itself, but due to the panel and the lengthy of the survey, we didn't go that further down into actual product development. Product development is driven heavily from customer feedback, and I think that our product team is great at collecting that feedback and putting it into motion in the roadmap. We might consider that in the future, but for this first initial scenario, was marketing and sales, let's say, and even a little bit on customer service, to in that brand funnel, we identified several points on how, from awareness to favorability and down to future intent from the brands and the agencies that they have towards us, and what are the difference from country to country, and how we can improve the service level that we have, not just from marketing, but also from sales and customer service. Yeah.
Without revealing any trade secrets, are you able to share any regional differences on how contextual advertising is perceived?
All in all, what we've seen is that the awareness level of what contextual advertising is really high. Across the board, all the competitive landscape that we have is well known from an awareness perspective. However, when you get down to the nuances on how favorable you are to use contextual versus other, there's nuances from country to country. I cannot share one specific example from Germany to the UK, so to speak, but there are differences that I think that we want to double down in the future, to see if we can transcend what contextual beliefs and perceptions are for the buyers that we have in these regions, and in order for them to see the value behind it, and how can even like complement like different channels, because obviously at the end of the day it is not just about using one channel or the other, but what's the right mix from an agency perspective to maximize the investment that the brand is putting in effort in a particular campaign.
So looking ahead, how do you see contextual advertising evolving over the next few years?
So I feel like, well, there's many. It's complex, and I cannot like disclose that much, to be honest, at this point, because we're working in different initiatives. But if anything, AI, we have been working on AI for like the past 10 years, to be honest, and now we just made it more tangible for our customers. Like everyone is using AI, Gen AI, ChatGPT, and the rest of the players. LLMs allowed us to like actually see the value behind it, and now it's making it a little bit easier for all the AI players that we have developed systems and AI agents over the past 10 years to actually like go, show, and get things in motion faster than before, right? From a Seedtag perspective, I feel like there's a tailwind coming from AI that we are currently slightly missing from the cookieless deprecation that we saw in the past. Obviously, Google changes in 2024 and not deprecating cookies and implementing a prompt for users to opt in or opt out, which will see like a lot of signal loss, obviously, given examples from Apple and other players on when they implemented that prompt for users. But yeah, cookies are here to stay for some time, and that's totally fine for us. But we are true believers on the signal loss and the privacy and ethical advertising that we should do for users, and they're demanding as we started this conversation. And I feel like AI will only like allow us to keep getting better at targeting from tailoring that briefing that I was speaking on a targeting capabilities, but also transcending the channels that we have and implementing like a more omni-channel targeting strategy for our customers that goes beyond the open web itself and articulate those campaigns in a cross-channel approach.
So do you think that it's safe to say that AI-driven contextual solutions will completely replace behavioral targeting?
It's tough to say, to be honest, but what we're seeing is that behavior, like if you only like depend on cookies, obviously that's deprecating. There's other ways to track behavior, and I feel like we need to like associate with first-party data, which partnerships, identifiers, which partnership we're choosing, to complement our strategy. We have like several examples of campaigns that we do lookalikes for like agencies, the first-party and second-party data that they have, and that has been successful. So at the end of the day, I feel like there's some data that we'll be able to utilize. It's just a matter of complement. I don't think it will replace, but again, I feel like it's growing and growing. And again, I feel like contextual is transcending what it's perceived as open web. But if you think about, and going back to the basics, all the data that's available from a contextual perspective, from location, time of the day, kind of like device and so on, that could be like a TV from like a metro station to whatnot that you can weave into the data pool and use AI to tailor that communication in the favor of both the user that is receiving that ad, that is, wow, that's really appealing to me right now at this time of the day at the location that I'm at. And again, for the advertiser also, it's very engaging from the campaign perspective to deliver it at the right time and the right moment for that user in particular.
So in addition to to continuing to innovate in terms of how you use AI to deliver your solution and expanding into some new markets like Asia, is there anything else on the horizon for Seedtag that you can share in terms of market, product innovation?
Well, I feel like I've covered pretty much all what I can say, but just to summarize it, say there's two main lines of action, obviously. It's one, how we're going omni-channel, and which are the prominent channels that we're going to tap into, being CTV, the biggest one, with an acquisition last year on the CTV space in the US with Bitcoin, and we're implementing and all that technology and know-how that we got from that to go omni-channel. And secondly is like, how can we utilize our AI leads and all the learnings over the past few years to get even way better at the intentionality level and down the funnel, to see which are, depending on the campaign briefing and on the phases of the funnel that we want to achieve, depending on the KPIs, and how can we score all the data points that we have towards being high intention or low intention. And that's what we're working on, and we're seeing really promising results from the initial customers that we're testing with.
So we have a lot of marketers in our audience. Any final words for that audience on what trends they should be watching out for that you haven't mentioned already?
Yeah, well, yeah. Again, I feel like it's CTV, it's curation time, and to all the marketers at the end of the day, put your vendors to test, obviously, in the sense like. It's just like, what do you really want to achieve? And we're just getting a really clear statement from our customers on, okay, I need this, and that. What are the values and that you want to be attached with, and what are the engagement that you want to get? No matter if that's like a CTR or a brand lift study that you need to like showcase that you're actually like achieving your goals, right? So yeah, that would be my final words on like get your vendors to test as much as possible and double down on what works. And we're really confident that what we're delivering is really well perceived and really well accepted.
And where can our listeners go to learn more about Seedtag?
Seedtag.com, obviously, our main storefront is our corporate website that is actually like being redesigned. So it's not like the best one at the moment of the recording, but we're working towards a new one right now. But also we really, from a marketing perspective and what my team does, we're really good, I'd say, on educating the market on what's really important, not just like from selling Seedtag itself, but actually like communicating and narrowing what's important in our industry. And that's LinkedIn. We have like a mass followers just because of the content that we put out there. We have an academy as well that you can like get certified and get lots of information on what contextual advertising it is. So if you look up Seedtag Academy, you're gonna find that. And it's just like actual valuable content that we want to put out there, because when an informed buyer wants to like buy, they need to like have all the information on the table to make the right decision. And again, yeah, LinkedIn is our primary channel if you want to like follow us on social.
Well, Jordi, this has been a fascinating discussion. Thank you very much for sharing your incredible insights. And I'd also like to thank our listeners for tuning in. So I will wrap it up there. And if anybody has any more interest in learning more about Seedtag and contextual advertising, again, it's seedtag.com, seedtag.com. And this was Jordi. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content. Stay tuned for more episodes where we will continue to explore and navigate the complex world of B2B sales and more, to provide you with the insights you need to navigate your business decisions with confidence.